Hi, it's nice to have you back once more to another interesting class with Mr. Emmanuel Utwada. The concept to be explored today is force. So you'll be learning about force today. Force is the push on an object resulting from its interaction with another object. We'll explore types of force and the effect of force. There are two broad types of force. We have contact forces and non-contact forces. What is a contact force? A contact force results from the interaction of two objects in contact with each other. When kicking a ball, your foot comes in contact with the ball, and that type of force is known as applied force. As the ball rolls, it comes to a stop. This is due to friction, and this type of force is known as frictional force. Also, air pressure, known as air resistance, also acts on the ball, and this is known as air resistant force. Then the normal upward force that acts on the ball. So these are basically the types of force on that contact forces. Non-contact forces. Non-contact forces are forces that act on an object without making contact with the object. Example is gravitational force. This is known as free fall. This force acts on the object without making contact with the object. Other examples of non-contact forces include electrical force and magnetic force. Effect of force. Number one, force brings about motion. This simply means force sets an object in motion. A resting object is set in motion by force. Force also changes the velocity of an object. This simply means that force can increase the velocity or the speed of an object. Force also stops motion. A moving object can be stopped by force. Force also changes the direction of an object. There are other effects of force. Can you think about them? Yes, let me give you a moment to think about them. Yes, force also brings about the change of shape. The change of shape of an object. When you compress an object with force, the shape changes. A quick review of the effect of force on an object. It's set in motion, change velocity, stop the motion, change the direction, and change the shape of an object. Frictional force. Friction is the force that opposes the sliding motion of two touching surfaces. Friction opposes motion. We have static friction, sliding or kinetic friction, rolling friction, and fluid friction. Static friction. Friction in which two surfaces are not moving past each other. You see the dumbbells held by the man, they are not moving, so they have static friction. The bell on the table is not moving, it's on the table, so it makes contact with the table, so that's static friction. The legs of the machine are also fixed on the ground and they have static friction. Parked cars also have static friction. Next, let's look at sliding or kinetic friction. When two surfaces slide past one another, they have what's known as sliding or kinetic friction. So as you see this machine sliding on the floor, it has sliding friction. When you slide your hands over the surface of your laptop, that is kinetic or sliding friction. Then sliding on the snow is also a sliding friction. Now let's look at rolling friction. Friction between a rolling object and the surface it rolls on. Your bicycle tires rolling on the road is rolling friction. Also, a skateboard roller has a rolling friction, and the wheels of a motorcycle tire has a rolling friction. Rolling friction can be seen in different activities, and fluid friction in the air, rolling friction again, and it lands on the ground. This is another rolling friction demonstrated, and this is kinetic friction or sliding friction by the ray. So these are various types of friction. Fluid friction is a friction that occurs when objects move across or through a fluid like air or water. So the fishes in the water, they have fluid friction. Also, sliding through water also involves the use of fluid friction. Then an aeroplane in the air makes use of fluid friction. Now let's look at some of the advantages of friction. Friction is very important while driving a car. Without it, a car would skid off the road. So on a dry road, there is a lot of friction between the car tires and the rough road surface. Unlike when the road is wet or snow, we need friction between the tires and the road to drive on the road covered with ice or water, because the water or the ice reduces the friction of the car with the road. So we need winter tires to increase the friction. Friction produces heat when we rub our hands against each other. Another advantage of friction is that friction between our shoes and road help us to work on the road. Without friction, we will not be able to walk and we will fall. Friction prevents tires from skidding off the road, like we said earlier on. It is time to look at some of the disadvantages of friction. Some of the disadvantages of friction includes friction makes it difficult to slide heavy objects on the floor. So because the object is heavy, it's difficult to slide it on the floor. Heat produced between the moving part of machine causes damage to the machine. Friction produces heat. So this is why some cars have overheating. Friction causes damage to tires of vehicles, soles of shoes, and many other things. Friction causes wear and tear. How can we reduce friction? We can reduce friction by adding oil to the moving part of a machine. So you add oil or grease, known as lubricant, to the moving part of machines. Fine powders can also be used to make the surface smooth. Use of rollers, ball bearings, and wheels also help to reduce friction. It's been an exceptional time learning about force. See you next class. Bye.